How is it that 5G rollout affects airplanes?
So 5G is a very confusing concept. I mean, we've been told that 5G has been already launched. So why is it now being launched? So 5G is really different than 4G, 3G, 2G, and 1G. So 1G, 2G, 3G, and 4G were technologies, actually technology. 1G was calls, 2G was calls and text, 3G was call, text, and a little bit more data. 4G was call, text, and a lot of data. 5G is not a technology. 5G is a concept, is an infrastructure that's supposed to allow the Internet of Things, driverless cars, and anything and everything that will come moving forward. 5G is a concept that's supposed to enable Internet of Things networks, which means that we're going to interconnect tens of billions of devices. So anything and everything in our house, environment, going to have an antenna, and they're going to communicate and intercommunicate. So your laptop will talk to your refrigerator, to your laundry machine, to your tea kettle. They now have diapers that have an antenna, so they text the mother every time the baby poops. So all of these billions and billions of devices want to be interconnected. And for that, we need a much more intense infrastructure of antennas because you have many more devices that you need to interconnect. So we need to create a big infrastructure, and that is what 5G.
Wow.
So now we have on January 4th, both AT&T and Verizon are supposed to launch those new C-band, mid-band technology and network. So for Verizon, it's called ultra wideband 5G network. And then the airline company figured that there is a problem and asked to delay the launch of this technology so they can figure out what to do with the planes. So the airplanes, as your promo explained, they have an altimeter technology that helps them measure altitude, especially in bad weather. And if you are going to have those cell towers that emit those frequencies, they're going to interfere with the airplane system. Because if you put two antennas that use the same frequency, they're going to be interference. So that is clearly a huge risk. And the FAA interfered, and they agreed that they would not put those antennas in a distance of 2 miles away from the airport of only 50 airports. But what about all the other
airports? So 50
yes,
airports.
And not just that, it's not even the main airports. And that's the ridiculous. It seems like the telecom industry has so much power that they allow him even to endanger planes, endanger traffic, its cargo, its people, its economy, and all of it in order to reduce your download speeds from your movie from 10 seconds to 2 seconds. How can that be more important than the safety of airplane, enabling flights and communication? It's outrageous, and it's not the first time. We had a bad experience with this 5G technology already before. About a year ago, NASA warned that those 5G millimeter wave networks are interfering with their weather systems. And, weather systems are critical in order to warn us of catastrophes. And as we've seen in the past few years, we have numerous catastrophes related to weather. And because of this 24 gigahertz millimeter wave frequency that they use for 5G, they're interfering with those radar systems. There was a big conference in Egypt, and actually the world lost. 5G and Telecom won, got the backing of the FCC. They did some kind of changes to the system, but overall the risk still exists. And 5G Telecom won just in order to get you faster download speed to your game, sacrificing lives of millions of people. It's going to cost a lot. I do want to make a comment about the health effects that you mentioned before. So wireless technology is harmful, whether it's 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G, 1G. Those radio frequencies that transmit information, especially in dense information, like, the movies that you download, those carrier waves that carry this information, carry the movie, your talk, that information is being put over those carrier waves, and they have they use numerous frequencies, constantly changing, and that is something that adversely affects our body, our nervous system, and numerous systems in our body. So 4G is very harmful. 3G is harmful. Wi-Fi is harmful. 5G is also harmful, and there's no doubt, even though there are no specific studies on 5G modulations or what we call language, there are a lot of studies on millimeter waves that shows that it's harmful. There are studies, and not just that, because the infrastructure is so much more intense. Until 5G was deployed, there were about 300,000 cell towers, which is a lot. But 5G was supposed to add 800,000 cell towers.
Now, what about Bluetooth? Is Bluetooth the same as Wi-Fi? Because Bluetooth, you know, I'm using my phone. It seems to only work in close distances. Does that mean it's got a weaker frequency? Is that safer for me? Or, you know, where are we at with Bluetooth?
No. Oh my God. Bluetooth, essentially, it's Wi-Fi for close distances. So it's from your phone to your AirPods, from your phone to your car. So there are Wi-Fi networks for close proximity and therefore very intense. And I do recommend people, there's, you know, this technology, these waves that you go in the air and go through our body, we don't see them, we don't smell them, some of us feel them, those who get sick from it. But it's like invisible harm. And I do recommend people to go and buy meters. They call radio frequency meters. And you can buy in a lot of places online. And they make the invisible visible. And you will see that actually those Bluetooth networks are very intense networks. You show the airports. There's very intense network. Not just that, those airports that you put in your ear transmit non-stop levels of radiation, which are literally billions of times higher than those your body was evolved to tolerate. And we have to remember, humans are electric beings. Your heart is electric, your nervous system is electric, your brain is electric, your cells communicate electrically. Now you introduce this massive amount of radiation, numerous frequencies that your body identifies and feels. Some of these frequencies are the same frequencies in which your body works. For example, Wi-Fi router uses a 10 hertz frequency, which is called a beacon frequency. So when you open your cell phone and you tell it, oh, there's like 18 Wi-Fi networks. How does your phone know that there's 18 Wi-Fi networks? It's because the Wi-Fi router sends a constant beacon frequency, just like airport, telling your phone, I'm here, do you need me? And that 10 hertz frequency is the same frequency used by your brain. Alpha brainwave work on frequencies between 8 to 13 hertz. And just as we know from those airplanes problem now with the airports, when you have two antennas transmitting on the same frequency, there are going to be interruption.
Wow.
And there's studies showing, a lot of EEG studies showing that those frequencies interrupt and interfere with the brain waves. And it's not surprising that people cannot sleep, that people have cognitive problems from this technology, and they don't even know that that is the cause.
What about people that are wearing, like, say, Apple Watches? I mean, that's got a frequency.
Terrible.
It's even monitoring their heart. It's right on their wrist. Does that have an effect? I mean, I'd see the ear pods in the ears. It freaks me out. But what about these watches? I can talk on the phone right on my wrist.
Those are the first thing that just get it off your hand ASAP. The thing is, the two most common symptoms we see in people from those iWatch is that pains in the head, even paralysis from the hand, or heart palpitation. So it's really ridiculous. Those iWatches were developed to allegedly help you keep fit and keep measure your heart. But by measuring the heart, they mess up the heart. There's like, as I said, like numerous frequencies coming out from the iWatches, the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi, and those are billions of pulsations a second sitting on your wrist where you have a major nervous system going to your heart and messing up your heart. The worst thing you can do to your fitness and life is put those iWatch on your hands. About 6 months ago, they started to intensely promote what's called Internet of Things networks. So it's routers that aim to connect all of these smart devices.
Okay.
And this is, for example, the one that was promoted by a company called Little Antenna. People were getting flyers put in their doors saying, hey, we pay you $600 to help create this big world, this interconnected world. And essentially, these look like router, but literally they're like cell towers.
There's like a cell tower in your house.
Those smart devices in your house.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead. It's like a cell tower.
And it's not just in your house. They put it in your house, but it's connect the whole neighborhood's devices for a distance of about half a mile. So you're basically the antenna for all of this. Then, for example, Amazon announced on June 8th, all of their devices are going to be now connected. So if you have devices, Amazon devices like Echo, like Alexa, now they all are connected, talking to each other. So your devices talk to the neighbor device and connect and create a network of their own. And so now we get much more higher radiation from these devices connecting. It's also a problem for your security systems, much easier to hack. And you don't even know. Your neighbor can have one of these antennas that you showed before in their house that transmit to half a mile distances, which means that they're pretty high levels of radiation. and it's from your house, and you don't have that meter to measure it. You're just going to get sick and cannot sleep, and your child will have cognitive problems and heart palpitation and anxiety attacks, and you would not know that that's this small thing in your house. It's really the cause of it.
What do you recommend
First,
that we do in this world of these waves beaming through our houses, around our houses, through our devices? What's the for the first steps in trying to protect ourselves?
I think first thing, most of the population is really addicted to this technology. And it's very nice that I say those things, but I think unless people getting convinced, they would not change their ways. So I think first and foremost, people need to get informed. And then look around you, see what changed in your life. All the various adverse health effects, your family experiences. So many children have autism. It's been connected to autism. We have literally doctors saying that after families remove their Wi-Fi and wireless from their home, children who never spoke a word, and I know those families personally, after a few days of removing wireless devices, autistic children started to speak. And I'm not exaggerating. I know those families, I know those doctors. So just and see what happened. Remove those devices, turn off the Wi-Fi router and cell phone at night, and see what happened. You're still going to have quite a lot, because again, we're surrounded by this from our neighbors all the time. The router transmits farther distances, so the radiation from your neighbors are coming into your house. But the bottom line is proximity is critical. When it comes to radiation drops in a square of the distance. So distance is critical. So probably the worst devices for you are the devices in your home. Turn off the cell phone. Don't sleep with them. If you need a alarm clock, either disable all the wireless in your phone or get a $1 phone from a watch from IKEA. Turn off the Wi-Fi router. And see how you sleep, see what happens to you and your family. And again, the only environment we can control right now, it's our home environment. And I see the sickness every day. It's overwhelming. People need to start and reduce exposure.
Is there, just a last question, when I put my phone in airplane mode, is that the same as turning it off? Does that stop the radiation from my phone?
No. So if you go to the settings on your phone, you're going to have airplane mode. You're going to have Wi-Fi, you're going to have Bluetooth. Each of the features on your phone has its own antenna because it's working on different frequencies. So when you put your phone on airplane mode, it's essentially only disable the frequencies that work for the calls. It does not disable the Wi-Fi antennas. It does not disable the Bluetooth antennas. In the older phone it did, but in the newer phones it's not. So if you really want to turn off the radiation in your phone, you need to put it on airplane mode, you need to disable the Wi-Fi, and you need to disable the Bluetooth. Also disable location, because that's another antenna. So that only then your phone is really off. And what I recommend people, essentially to reduce constant exposure. If you go around and you need to keep your phone on because you want to get calls or you have to get calls, you can, for those times, turn off the Bluetooth, turn off the Wi-Fi. And then when you stop and you want to check your email or how many likes you got on Facebook, enable that antenna. It takes exactly 1 second. Get all the data you want, send whatever emails, and then again, disable the Wi-Fi, disable the Bluetooth when you don't use them. And so you have less radiation. You still have a lot of radiation, especially from close proximity, but it's much less radiation. A lot is going on. It's technical, but it's not complicated. There's a lot of good websites, good YouTube videos. Reduce exposure and start deal with your addiction to these devices. It's not a good one.